Batman, The Doom That Came to Gotham is one of the most popular Elseworld tales, probably because Batman has a monopoly on those. Mike Mignola uses his signature H.P. Lovecraft taste for a tale about Batman surrendering to madness. The animated adaptation is weird. It's objectively close in terms of sequences, however they had to slow down this 138-page comic for the 70-minute runtime, and for more character development. On one hand, character development is good. On the other hand, the high emotions and high drama ends up affecting the sense of bleakness. Something changing your mind. Let's just compare the openings. In 1928, Bruce Wayne finds Cobblepot's ship. A journal explains how the dogs couldn't be calmed, so the crew were forced to kill them all. What a great start. Bruce then finds Grendon, who's lost his mind, referring to himself in third person, scratching the ice. In the film, he actually finds Cobblepot first, who looks like the Michelin Man. He sees the beast hidden in the ice, a sight so otherworldly, Grendon cuts his eyes out.
Adjustments.
I'm sure it is. This scuffle is entirely off screen in the comics because it goes straight to BOOM! We can only trust Bruce's word that Cobblepot is gone, even though he's actually watching from afar with his dong out. Bruce is established very differently in these openings. In the comic, we're drawn to his inhuman confidence in handling this otherworldly danger. His off-screen explosive solution establishes him as an equal to this off-screen incomprehensible madness. In the film, we actually see how he barely escaped, how small he is. This brings forth two really different approaches towards characters. Characters in the comic often feel more like props than people, while the film takes all its opportunities to flesh out everyone between actions, concentrating on their vulnerabilities and getting you invested in their lives. Instead of jumping into the explosion, we see Cassandra Cain, or Kylie, who replaces Tim Drake from the comic, bringing explosives. There's also this really lovely moment where Jay draws a short straw and stays on the ship to look after Grendon.
Damn it!
In the comic, Bruce just orders him. A key aspect of Lovecraft is how his horror combines the supernatural and the non-supernatural, with the supernatural most often represented by the existence of the otherworldly creatures and the mundane taking place inside the protagonist's minds as they slowly lose their grip on reality. It is this exploration of the degradation of the human psyche that serves to instill fear into the reader. Under these codes and conventions, the film, I'd argue, actually does a slightly better job at creating this connection with the mundane. However, the pacing is less great, because a few minutes in and we're already get hentai tentacle monsters and wild Lovecraft horror can be summarized by what the is going on. Characters are on a quest to learn forbidden knowledge, but ironically, comprehending something so ancient in itself is dangerous, because Lovecraft believed science like astronomy and geology has only revealed to humanity that space and time has no human scale. The reason why time plays a great part in so many of my tales is that this element looms up in my mind as the most profoundly dramatic and grimly terrible thing in the universe. This sense of ancientness is deeply involved in the origin of this version's Gotham, and also Bruce's destiny. After 20 years, he finally goes home. Thomas taught Bruce to see himself as someone who must fulfill some very big shoes, since the Waynes built Gotham from nothing. But this attracts a hobo who kills him. The contents of this flashback in the film is largely the same, but Thomas advises Bruce to actually find his own shoes before stepping into someone else's.
Come now, Martha. It's more important a man learn to stand on his own feet before cramming them into someone else's shoes.
Furthermore, Bruce's relationship with the mansion is a bit different. In the comic, Bruce dismisses its hugeness as just old money, setting up that he's sort of in defiance with Thomas's legacy. In the film, the moment feels actually a lot more warmer as Lucius welcomes him.
Oliver Queen has invited you for dinner and drinks.
There's no resentment. His boat isn't his home, the city and his mansion is. Furthermore, on top of the removal of the moments where Bruce speaks with the old captain on the ship who worries about wanting to be buried somewhere more familiar, Bruce has a different relationship with his history. In the comic, he's a prisoner, forced to come home, forced to come back. In the film, he's more of a savior, as Jason Blood teases.
Do you have a point, Mr. Blood? Your homecoming has set sudden wheels in motion, Bruce Wayne.
He then runs away butt naked. Bruce in both is the inheritor of a deal made by his father. This is the predicament that's been set up. Let's talk about the bad guys. The most important good guys introduced are Bruce, Ollie, and Harvey Dent. Old friends who promise to give Gotham a brighter future away from its old, corrupt, and scarred past. Two of them are from old money. The bad guys are the supposedly exotic foreign outsiders of Gotham, showing up with their magic, tampering with the city. The Al Ghouls. In this version, Raish was a necromantic artist who got mauled by something that followed him from the old world. His body was burned, thus his ashes and book, The Testament of Ghoul, were passed to his daughter, Talia. This introduces another Lovecraftian convention, heredity and authenticity, and with the dangers of degeneration and insanity. In other words, Lovecraft was a racist who had beliefs in biological and cultural purity. In 1936, he wrote, "No settled and homogeneous nation ought, A, to admit enough of decidedly alien race stock to bring about an actual alteration in the dominant ethnic composition, or B, tolerate the dilution of the culture stream with emotional or intellectual elements alien to the original cultural impulse." Subsequently, Lovecraft's racism shapes the cosmic relativism in his work by arguing that tradition is the only anchor that values can be rendered fixed by. As essayist Neil summarized, traditions means nothing cosmically, but it means everything locally and pragmatically because we have nothing else to shield us from a devastating sense of lostness in endless time and space. This idea of the other invading and contaminating across space and time through transmission is the underlying metaphor that's in Lovecraft's work. And Doom That Came to Gotham, out of fidelity on the surface, follows this genre convention. The film does have Kylie and Lucius Fox to try and diffuse a bit of this. However, the biggest diffusion comes from the twist. Before we learn the truth though, a lot of the characters are just straight up killed. It's pretty gnarly. The death of the Robin boys is weird because in the comics, they're not really characters, they're just loyal crewmen whose death sets up how severe the situation is. Batman doesn't even take off his costume in the funeral, while in the film, more time is spent with them. Thus, their deaths ends up feeling weirdly unceremonious. Like, really? What was the point of all that? However, the film then does do a better job with letting the characters mourn.
It's okay, let it out.
You really get to grow a connection with Ollie, Jim, and Kylie through this collective sadness. Talia mutates Harvey into becoming a doorway as Gotham turns more and more insane. Ollie is ready, believing he's the chosen one who must answer the sins of his father. His father was actually the madman who killed the Waynes. In the comic, Ollie is slightly more of an arrogant dude whose key moment before his death is having a big-ass exposition about how he's God's chosen weapon and he's got fancy arrows. Then it just dies off screen. Film Ollie actually gets a tearful convention, an extended fight scene, and an extended death where he jokes with Kylie for the last time. Bruce already knew the truth and tells him it doesn't change anything.
He died trying to do what was right.
He died because he thought he owed the world for whatever insanity his dad
Oliver believed the sins of the father
are heaped upon the son. Yeah, I know that verse. But don't forget Ezekiel 18. The son will not share the guilt of the father, nor will the father share the guilt of the son. My point is, you don't have to do this.
All these deaths, what they do is paint an incredibly indifferent universe where good people die and the path Batman needs to take to stop this threat is a lonely one. Also in the film, they added in zombie versions of the dead for Batman to fight, so there's even more drama. Here's the truth. Through Oracle's ritual, Bruce meets his father in the dream world, who sadly explains how he was one of the first people who settled in Gotham. People were dying until Cobblepot performed a ceremony through the book, turning the four founders into immortal men. But using the book drew a monster to their world, and this discovery drove everyone mad. The comic is actually Professor Manford, the librarian Batman prank calls to try and get the book earlier, who explains it's not Cobblepot, but a man called Ludwig Prim, who could smell the men's greed. However, after the ceremony, the shame was too much and the founders beat him to death, hiding the crimes. Gotham prospered, but Prim didn't die. He instead became Killer Croc, the dude who killed Kirk Langstrom and Dick Grayson. Thomas was a good man, and alongside others wanted to have real families again. Thus, Oliver and Bruce were born, but Henry Queen killed him when he heard about Thomas's dreams. In this version, it's here where Bruce learns of this. The change in person expositing all of this subtly shifts Batman's relationship with his destiny. In the comic, he's the only one who can answer the sins of the past. In the film, he's following his father's desire for redemption. Gotham is a settlement built through sin. What Bruce and Ollie inherited isn't some great tradition, but shame. As a result, what Batman needs to do is become a f***ing Giga Chad. He defeats Cthulhu through his non-stop grinding, becoming a true alpha male shaped like a real bat. Etrigan is also an alpha, so he shows up to f***ing blow up Cthulhu. Gotham is nuked from all this masculinity, while Kylie and Tim Drake inherits the Wayne fortune, and they both pledge to make the dream of New Gotham be true. When asked where Bruce Wayne is, he's withdrawn from public life, but has assured everyone that he will be watching over them, and if Gotham needs him, he will be there, grinding. The Doom That Came to Gotham is a weird adaptation. The focus on character drama makes it more engaging as an action film, but it muddles the sense of relentless horror and general pacing. The dinner scene literally goes on for so long that Ollie falls asleep. Furthermore, the clean, simple in-house art style is too friendly and clean looking. I think it really needed harsher shadows and more unflattering character designs. They probably didn't have the budget for that, but there is a neat, sincere attempt to adapt Mike Mignola's art style in terms of blockier characters and usage of more garish colors. But the weird thing is that he didn't even draw the comic. The credits also really bother me in terms of just how tacky it looks. What is this? Overall, the message of the story is this. The universe is perhaps bleak, vast, ancient, outside of our control. Ideas that, unfortunately, stem from a dude's racist imagination. But there is a truth to it. Perhaps we're all trapped by decisions made before we're born. But right now, today, it's f***ing leg day.
I'm so confused right now, baby. Did it work for us? Did it work for us? And I guess it's over now, baby. Did it work for us? Did it work for us?
I love this moment between Kylie and Harvey where he shows off the coin. They're good men that you can get invested in. In the comic, you don't really get that because Harvey is only mentioned. Tim is not impressed by Ollie's enthusiasm as a big game hunter. Look at this Harambe cameo.